You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James. And today we're going on a mini Throttle House adventure.
With the all-new Toyota Land Cruiser.
Now that we know what this is,
Yep.
first impressions, we've done a few miles.
Well, you just put your foot down and fired us forward with the new iForce Max engine.
So this is our first attempt with this engine. It's a
Yes.
2.4 litre four-cylinder
Hybrid.
hybrid.
That's the important bit.
Yeah, and this is this is the only engine option for this car.
Yes.
And in the 4Runner, there's going to be a non-hybrid, and then this engine, and the
Yeah.
same as the Tacoma. There's the normal four-cylinder, and then there's the Max.
See, I was kind of sold on this iForce Max engine being like this, like powerful, exciting Baja style thing. That's kind of
because the numbers are almost the same as the V6 and the GX.
yes, but it's not really that.
No.
It just moves you forward with a bit of like droney four-cylinder noise.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's not a monster.
I don't need my Land Cruiser to be exciting and cool sounding. I just need it to get me to a place and back reliably.
And with good fuel efficiency over
Forever.
the V6. Okay, desert time.
Is that a lady's bathing suit?
Yeah, you said save money. I didn't know you were going to steal someone's curtains. This was $7.
Fortunately, the Land Cruiser right now doesn't come with the most aggressive off-road tires, so we're going to hope for the best, but we are lowering the pressures. I'm going to try about 25 PSI and see how that goes. I'm going to lower the pressures in all the crew cars as well, but I will say that the sand dunes look a little bit more intimidating than I thought they were going to. And so far, the only vehicles we've seen driving on them are very specialty built off-road things that people are trailering in here. So yeah, our plan is to cross the entirety of the Imperial Sand Dunes down to the end. Let's see how it goes. Here we go. We've aired down pressures a little bit.
Sand mode.
We're in sand mode, okay.
And the goal here is not Baja.
No,
It's
this is get there.
get there.
Get there, don't get stuck, don't DB a tire, please.
And get back.
Please don't roll us. Shiny side up, those are the rules for the day.
Sand mode, which can now be used in 4 high, is basically a sophisticated traction control setting, allowing slip and diverting power where needed. So that, coupled with locking the rear diff or disconnecting the front sway bar when it was required, meant that the new Land Cruiser was making this business of overlanding easy.
Smooth.
So we've Baja'd before in the Bronco Raptor. But this is overlanding because there's a tent on the roof.
You see? I'm glad that you understand the distinction.
And you choose somewhere and you just go.
You choose somewhere and you go.
Okay, so
over
it's parkour,
the land.
Parkour.
It's parkour. Parkour.
For cars.
For cars,
Just
exactly.
Parkour.
Yeah, fastest point from A to B. It's exactly what it is.
The easiness ended quickly. Driving on sand dunes is a very challenging discipline. Not only are the dunes completely unpredictable and random in their shape, it's also very hard to see what's coming next. Especially since the Land Cruiser's forward-facing camera annoyingly disappears once you exceed parking lot speeds.
Add to that the softness of the sand, and the possibility of rolling is very, very real. A low center of gravity is key, which is why dune buggies are a thing. And yeah, for all its wonderful headroom, the Land Cruiser doesn't have that, especially since we've added to its height with a heavy tent.
These are okay, they're doing all right. Anyway, we're gonna skirt the craziness of the dune there and we're gonna cross the desert that away. You see where there's some shrubs?
Yeah.
The shrubs are a happier place for this thing right now.
Okay.
We don't quite have the
Why don't you give it
balls.
a go?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, good. Let's do it. Once.
No, and you end up feeling like pride in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Overlanding. We're overlanders.
The day surged on, and even though we'd been driving for hours and the sun was starting to set, we hadn't even broken the back of the Imperial Sand Dunes. They were vast. Not a chance we could make it the rest of the way in one day. So, defeated, we found camp, which meant locating some element of shelter from the relentless winds, which we noticed were getting stronger as the day went on.
Good boy.
So that phrase of if you want to go somewhere and come back, you need a Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
You also need to not be a moron.
No, that's fair enough. But listen, even when morons are present, the Land Cruiser takes care of you, and that's the moral of the story.
Doesn't make me dislike it any less.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, exactly.
Yeah, it's endearing.
It just is very cool, isn't
Yeah.
it?
As we gained elevation, the weather kept getting worse, dropping to almost freezing. But the Land Cruiser took it all in stride. There wasn't even a hint of any suspension damage, and it tracked arrow straight down the highway. Even the coolant leak managed to sort of stop being a coolant leak, and the temps stayed steady. The Land Cruiser sort of did that Land Cruiser thing. It got us home.
So, now that we know that the new 4Runner remains a proper off-road go-anywhere SUV, and the Lexus GX isn't actually that much more expensive than the Land Cruiser, but gets a bigger V6 engine, more towing capacity, no loss in trunk space due to a hybrid system, and the possibility of 3 rows, it's actually very hard to see where the Land Cruiser fits. But somehow, it feels like it does. It feels like Toyota left some room for it to be a slightly more classy and grown-up 4Runner, and likewise, it feels like a more honest Lexus GX that does benefit from better fuel economy and a 2400 watt outlet in the trunk. As for its rivals, even though the Land Cruiser currently doesn't sport a wild engine option in its top trim, it's nicer to live with every day and has better road manners than a normal Bronco and Wrangler. And whilst we love the Defender, historically, Land Rover versus Toyota for reliability isn't so much a fight as it is a slaughter.
We've talked at length about desirability, and it's certainly very difficult to quantify, but the Land Cruiser seems to have it. Because if someone asks you about your Lexus GX, you might say, well, it's a Lexus, but it's actually a Land Cruiser underneath. Or about your 4Runner, you might say, yeah, think of it as sort of like a North American Land Cruiser. But if you're driving one of these, no questions need be asked. Or at least that's the way I see it, because I'm a weak man and I've been sold on the nameplate, so I have purchased a special old Land Cruiser, and it's currently on its way from the land of the rising sun. Thanks for watching.